Hello, my friends. Welcome to another live stream. We have Carrie back with us. So exciting. I always love it when Carrie's here. I was telling my boyfriend about last week and how I just told you guys all kinds of personal stories because I didn't know what else to say. So I hope you enjoyed our relaxed chat and chill last time. And now we have Carrie. We're talking about something super serious, which is you don't have to work. Part 2. We did a part 1 around January, and it was honestly our highest watched live stream ever.
Oh, wow.
And I like to pay attention to that because I want to know what you want to talk about and hear about. So I've been more active in this as well in the past month or two, reintegrating into this idea, following my intuitive art about it. If you saw my last video, and it's time for a revisit, and I think from maybe a more practical angle as well. So if you have any questions, let us know. Comments, we love it. And yeah. So Carrie, how are you doing?
So I'm amazing. I was not here last week because I was not working, but working, right? And I think that's really important to even talk about right now. Like I was doing something I absolutely love. I was fully present. I was having an amazing time. And it's something that actually I get paid for, right? So I just want to like acknowledge that. And we had the best time, but it was also a hurricane came to Southern California. It wound up becoming a tropical storm, but that's something that's never happened here. And so we were in the mountains and we had to decide to come home a day early. And that was something where I just so trusted my intuition. There's conflicting reports and nobody knows what to do. And it just like, I just got this sense of like, relaxation and peace and knowing like the best thing to do is to leave a day early. Bless you, Rachel. So we did, and I'm so glad we did. The tropical storm wound up not really being all that eventful here where I live, but in the mountains where I was, it was kind of a big deal, and we probably would have been stuck there. So that's all of the exciting stuff that was happening while you were telling all your airing all your dirty laundry to everyone everyone who's watching. But I am great, Rachel, and I'm really excited that we're talking about this again. I opened the email, I saw what we were talking about, and I was like, yes. Because like you, I have really something that I think we've both been doing is feeling more solid in the things that we are embodying. Like there's like a grounded rootedness to the way that we're showing up in what we're wanting to hold in our bodies. And same, like I've been embodying not working, and which really means doing only what I love, right? And it always works in amazing ways. So I'm excited to share, if it comes up, what's going on for me, but also just like I think you're saying the practical implications. Like I have lots of clients who are also experiencing this, like, oh my gosh, it doesn't feel like work and it just keeps getting better and better and better. Or I had this intention and it came to me in a completely different and even better way. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Nice. I figured we'd be in sync on this. You know, there are already a lot of people in our country. Well, we're in America, USA. I know a lot of you are from different places, which obviously probably have better benefits than America does. But I'm thinking about like my dad, for example. He's been on, I think he's on Social Security now, which again, you don't have to work on Social Security. That's like a government sort of retirement plan. You pay into it. Yeah.
You do have to have worked in order to be on social.
Yes, you pay into it as you work, throughout your life, and then you sort of get paid back what that is. But you don't have to work to receive it, right? You're not working when you receive it. But before that, he was on disability for a number of years. And so he had, again, there's strings, there's hoops. We're going to get to how to not have strings and hoops. But if we look around us, there's already manifestations of people not having to work. And so the seed is there. People experience it. The experience of it is there, right? The vibration of it is there. And then if we jump to something like Intimate Alien, you wouldn't expect her to have a job, right? She doesn't have money even. And that's where we're going. It's where we're going. We're going to still have money on this planet for as long as I know. But as we move into not having to work, sometimes people experience that as a lessening of money, but getting more value from the world for free or for less money than it used to take. That's usually one of the first things you're going to experience as you grow into more self-worth and allowing and deserving. Is there's a transition. It's not just like, I want to not work, to I don't have to work and I don't have a job and I'm living in the fifth dimension, right? Like there's going to be a process, and we're going to talk about all of that today and how technology is making that easier. And I have so many notes because this is so top of mind for me lately. So definitely get your questions in if you have any. But yeah, so Carrie, any thoughts?
Oh my gosh, I have 2 stories.
Excellent.
So I feel like I'll tell these 2 stories because they're probably going to relate to whatever you're going to talk about. But
I
one
just want
happened
to say
last.
you're a little pixely, and for the first time your audio is a little laggy. So I don't know if there's anything you can do, but
Well, let's do what I can. I am closing a bunch of things that don't need to stay open.
and hi Laura.
That
Yay.
how am I now?
Good.
Okay. Okay, 2 stories. So this just happened last night. My husband had a bunch of his coworkers over for it was like a happy hour thing, and he decided to host it at our house. It was lovely. They're awesome people. There was a bunch of engineers in my backyard, so conversation was maybe different than what I often have in my backyard, which is usually like a bunch of track coaches. And later in the evening, our neighbors saw my husband walking out to the car, and my husband invited him over to come hang out with the coworkers in the backyard. And this neighbor is 35 years old and recently retired. He doesn't have to work. And it was interesting because I watched him respond, right? In the United States, it's really common to when you meet someone else, be like, and what do you do for a living? And so someone said to him, what do you do for a living? And he didn't know what to say. So I think one of the things we need to talk about today, and I'll tell you his response, but I think one of the things we need to talk about today is worthiness and really knowing that you don't have to work. It is okay to say, I don't have to work. And this guy, he had been a fireman. He had kind of this blue collar identity, and he'd made some really wise investments and he'd made some choices in his life to get himself to this place that he's really proud of being. But I watched him kind of fumble and say kind of said, well, as of a few weeks ago, nothing, I just take care of my kids. And I watched him sort of diminish himself because I told him afterwards, it seemed like it was shame. And he goes, I know it seems like that. He's like, it's not shame. I just don't basically want to be a pretentious asshole. Right. And anyway, so that was one thing. And I started to tell him about this other friend I have that I ran into her when my kids were little. I ran into her at a park, and I knew she was recently divorced. And so she was playing with her kids. And I was like, so, what do you do? What are you doing? Or I said something like that. And she, in full embodiment, said, I was fortunate enough that when my dad died, he left me enough money that I never have to work again. And there was no pretentiousness. Now, this woman, actually, interestingly enough, she does work now, not because she has to. She doesn't have to work. But she has stuff that she does that most people would see as work, or, runs a business. But anyways, I was telling my neighbor about this. Like, there was no pretentiousness because she was fully owning, I don't have to work. She wasn't being snobby about it. She wasn't like, she was grateful. So, anyways, I just think that's a great place to come from energetically. Like, what if we could all embody, I don't have to work, right? Like, come from that place, start from that place, not from a place of uh, unworthiness or feeling, I don't know, guilt or shame around, I choose to do only what I love, but like just really owning the truth of our, like, the incredible nature of who we are, that we're put here to do what lights us up. So, anyways, those are my stories.
Yeah, I love that because we're making it real, we're making it accessible. And I have a story as well when it didn't require me to have millions of dollars saved up or inherited. So when I first moved in with my now partner, he really wanted to give me the experience of being able to go to school full time. And it was really generous of him. It's not like he paid me an allowance or anything. He just covered the bills of the house. And with my student loan money, basically, you get a little bit more than you need for living expenses and stuff. And all I needed to buy was food. Like, it's not like I was living it up or anything, but I could cover my food, my car insurance and my gas. And then I was able to go to school full time. And so I didn't have to work. And it took me, I think, 2 years or so to finish up my degree, maybe a little less. I'm really not sure. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I was, I think, almost 30. But I didn't have to work. And it was really wonderful. It was so calming. It was so relieving to my body. It was the first time ever. I mean, I've always had more than one job. You know my past story, I think, most of you anyway. So it was exceptional until I got to the point where it was very depressing because I was only doing school and I really missed working with people. I wasn't even a psychic anymore. I like stopped doing everything and I realized I need to work with people. And so I just got to this point the other day. I don't have to work now. If I wanted to, I could stop working. I have passive income that comes in. I also have a partner who makes a lot of money. And so I don't have to work, which is really wonderful. But now I know I need to work if I'm going to feel fulfilled, if I'm going to feel in love with life, in love with myself, right? It's a part of me that I can't be without if I want to be happy. So it's self-care for me is doing all this. But also, the more I get into doing only what I love, the more freakouts I tend to have. I just had one. I think I told you a little bit about it last week, but so making this show, which I finally filmed this week, the first week of the Daily Alignment show, getting back into the books that I'm writing, like seriously, always honing down. What do I love now? How can I only do what I love even more? Right? Requires a lot of worthiness, a lot of allowing, a lot of like ditching of old mindsets and old beliefs, to the point where I convinced myself I wanted to be a social worker over the weekend, like a solid 4 days of, oh my God, I got to do this program. It's totally it. It's what I want to do in the world. I got to do it. I'm going to get a job. Eric, look, I'm going to get a job. This is a job I would get. It's like, I was totally spiraling, but it's like unconscious. It's like I go through these periods sometimes where maybe it's like I need to prove myself. Maybe it's like I'm not good enough to do only what I love and I have to help the world. I don't really know. I don't really connect to those reasons, but something's happening in there. And luckily this time I knew I'd come out of it. But it's a real thing where we are going to freak out the closer we get to doing only what we love. Our mind is going to play tricks on us and bring up any kind of old unworthiness that we have. And it's not going to feel so like in your face that's what's going on. I was really convinced for a few days that that's exactly what I was going to do. So I just wanted to say, like, it's not a non-bumpy road. It's okay. And luckily you have support around you. I was really happy to tell Carrie when I came out of it because I knew she'd understand. Eric was very patient with me as I was explaining all the perks of this master's degree to him and this, life of being a social worker. So, I just want to say it's possible. People are already doing it, regardless of whether you have an inheritance or you've saved fire all your life. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take some grace because the shit's going to hit the fan sometimes.
So, yes. And I feel like I want to talk about, like, you talked a little bit about worthiness and a little bit, but your freak out that you had, right? Like, you guys, I've watched Rachel go through several of these. So, but you're kind of saying, like, I don't really know what that is about, and I actually don't need to know what it's about. But I do think it's important to recognize that what happened, right, was that you reverted to, like, what society says work should be, right? A job title, like, you went to kind of like safe and secure, like, you went to that place. And I think that is important for us, especially here in the United States. I know other countries, like, people aren't necessarily defined, like, they don't form their identity around their job. But here we do. And so it's not just about allowing ourselves to have what we want, right? To have the life we really want. It is a little bit about, and this is what my neighbor was experiencing, right? This death of the identity of, like, I work hard, right? Hard work equals value in the world, right? The busier I am, the harder I'm working. That, like, it's really like shedding all of that. And I think that is harder work than many of us realize. We just think, wouldn't it be great if I didn't have to work? Oh my gosh, I don't have to work. But then all your shit comes up, right? All the stuff we need to release comes up so that we can release it. But it's a lot of stuff sometimes. It could be I don't know, for me, it's sort of a lot of, if I'm not doing something, like, if someone walks into my house and they just see me existing, like sitting on the couch, I experience guilt. Like, they should see me being busy, doing something productive, right? Working. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff to let go of. And I think that's really important for all of us on this call to acknowledge. It's great. It's amazing. It's wonderful to know in your bones that you're meant to do only what you love.
Yep.
To know that we can't stop. We're already on the path to doing only what we love. And there might be some stuff that comes up.
Yeah. So before we move on, I just want to wrap up this part of the conversation with whatever situation you're in. I hear a lot from people in my position, right? You have a partner who makes enough money so that you don't have to work. And there's a lot of guilt and shame in that as well. Also with being on disability, also with living off student loans, also with, whatever it happens to be, unemployment. But you are okay to receive whatever comes your way without guilt and shame. Without guilt and shame. Regardless of how other people might think of it, you are the manifester. You are the creator. And nothing comes into your world without you putting it there. You're giving yourself these gifts. And you don't have to take the strings that are attached. If it's like, if you just feel like, oh, well, They didn't say I have to pay them back, but I have to pay them back. Or they didn't say that now I have to do everything they want me to do, but I do, right? Like sometimes you get gifts from parents or whatever, and you think, oh, well, now they want me to make the decisions they would make, right? You don't have, you receive and you leave whatever you think is tied to that at the door. And I'm not talking about like loan repayment, like, of course, you're in a contract or whatever, but I'm just talking about the emotional things we tie to gifts. You don't need to accept that in order to accept the gift, right? So whatever situation you're in, wherever you're getting something from, all of us on this call are receiving something from somewhere, or we wouldn't have an internet connection, right? Maybe you're receiving free Wi-Fi at the library, possibly, right? You're still receiving. The best thing that I know how, the part that's gotten me here is to love the moment. We can't make any kind of progress if we're fighting against something. If you're fighting against the fact that your husband pays the bills, if you're fighting against the fact that you're on unemployment, or you get your money from a job you don't like, if you're fighting, if you're judging, if you're unhappy with what's happening right now, it's really difficult to make any kind of progress and move ahead. So my new mantra lately has been love the moment. In the past, I've just aligned to unconditional love, right? Being optimistic, being appreciative, all those things are the same thing. But love the moment is like my new favorite thing to say to myself, because it makes sure that I'm in the right frame of mind to have the life that I want to have. I want to be in a life where I love each moment. And so if I can find love in this moment right now, that's my shortcut, right? That you've seen like the drawings where you're like on a timeline and it loops down and then it contracts, right? Isn't that like the space donut or something? You can do that. You can make the quantum leaps if you match the vibration of what you want, right? Let your vibration do the work. So let's do the work of finding the vibration. So love the moment, love the moment. And that means so many things, right? Not holding a grudge, finding a way to relax, doing what you want anyway, caring about how you feel, all of that. Love the moment. Okay.
I'm going to reflect just what I'm feeling. I hope that everyone is feeling it as well. Just that like call to presence. Even in this moment, as you're here to learn something, right? You're here to get an epiphany or have an aha, like love the moment. Doesn't that feel good? Right? Isn't there something calming right here in this moment? Everything's amazing. In this red hot minute, you don't have to work. You can sit here, watch us, hang out. All is well. Continue.
Yeah, such a good check-in. And it's fun because, I've only been doing this specific mantra for a little while, but I put myself in positions to love my moments because I do only what I love. And I'll find myself like at the gym just being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to do this. I can't believe I get to work my body like this in this environment, on these machines, in this way. And it's just, it will catch you off guard and it will be so beautiful. If you saw my hiking video, you know what happens to me when I'm hiking. I can't help it. I'm like, holy, I just want to scream. It's so incredible to be in that place at that time.
Can I just thank you for that hiking video though? Because Rachel also sent me the day she did that, she sent me like a little personal message, like, look where I am. Oh my gosh, this is how I'm feeling. But that video, probably like the quality of the video compared to like the little app that we were using. You said like, I've always wanted to live someplace that looked like a painting. And then you framed this, I mean, sharing that, like you didn't just get to experience it, but there was like this ripple in sharing it. Like I'm gonna yawn. That was a painting. Like that was amazing. So thank you for sharing that video.
You're so welcome. And see, that was a day where I decided that how I feel is more important than anything else. My higher self was guiding me and I chose to listen. And I had such an amazing experience. And when I meditated, I was like, I'm gonna make a video. And then it's probably the most like I got so many email replies of like, thank you so much for posting that. So you're welcome. Thank you. So, yeah, these are the things we tap into when we allow ourselves to take priority in our lives. And another thing I have in my notes here is to set up boundaries. I don't want to talk too much about it, but well, we can if it's applicable. Yeah, Carrie, but like you deserve to feel good, and that means preserving your space, preserving your time, preserving your mood, preserving whatever you need to preserve. And basically, boundaries is just making you a priority and not deferring to other people when it doesn't feel good.
Okay, you saw me like be like, oh.
Yeah.
Because these are the conversations that have been coming up like in my client work recently. It's like as people are ascending and feeling better and better and like amazing stuff is happening in their life, or they're aligning more and more to like they're getting so much closer to the life that they know they want and can have, and they can feel it and taste it, and the bumpy road, right? Like some things are coming up, and a lot of them have been around boundaries. Like recognizing that moment when you are, the way I kind of describe it is like, you're letting yourself down a little bit, but then you're justifying why it's okay. And like it's subtle. So it's not like, because people are always thinking like, well, my boundaries, like I'm going to block my time, or I'm going to like, but it's like, it's actually something that you feel like, internally when you've crossed a boundary. And it can be the most beautiful and empowering, and kind of like this, that we started the title of today's call is you don't have to work, but just the like, you don't have to. Like a lot of boundary issues happen when people think that, well, I have to. Well, right, there's like this, I need to, I have to, and there's not an openness for a way that could happen without you, right? And so I love that we're talking about this and having that. And I also wrote, this is like kind of separate, but it has to do with boundaries. I wrote these words. I think it has to do with how we're talking about work, but like we think work is a have to, right? Like I have to go to work to make money, right? Everybody has to work. You have to have a profession. Like there's sort of this, and I wrote the words work as self-care, right? Like what if what we chose for work was actually like, well, I have to take care of myself. Well, I have to like listen to what makes my heart sing. Well, I have to. So anyways, chew on that, guys. Play with that a little bit. But I do think boundaries are a lot more subtle than many people recognize. And so as you're leaning into like, I don't have to work, like I get to do whatever I want and have everything that I've asked for. Notice what's going on. There will be requests of you. There will just be things where it feels like a no, but you feel like you have to say yes. Or it's a lot of with a lot of my clients right now, it has to do with prioritizing things. There's something they really, really want to be doing, but then there's like other things keep coming up, right? And they feel like, well, I have to handle this. I have to, and no, you don't. You don't. So there you go. That's my boundaries talk.
Yeah. And like work as self-care, that's what I discovered when I was back in school full time. Like, oh, I need to work. It is my self-care. Like it's part of me. I can't, I'm here on this planet to do certain things. And that's, it fits into a work category, but it's just what I need to do for myself. Like it's just how I feel whole as a being, you know? And that's something that used to trip me up too is I think I'm still recovering from this, to be honest. My I love my dad. We have a really good relationship, but he used to basically call me like a workaholic. And it's because I'm just always doing stuff. I'm always creating, I'm quilting or painting or live streaming or doing readings or filming or writing or whatever. Like it's just I love doing things. I'm a doer and a beer, don't worry. But um I really I think shrunk back from that because I didn't like the implications of that. I didn't, it felt like oh, you shouldn't be doing that, Rachel, and we all react differently to our parents, but I think I really internalized that and so now I sort of catch myself wanting to do more but not doing it. I haven't quite come out of it yet, which is okay. I have a great life. Like, this is not a big deal, but we're always going to be finding more of ourselves along this path, which is what I'm trying to say is you might be doing something in a certain way right now that's not totally you. It might be as a result of bullying or just a stray comment that you received. Jim Self calls these gifts that you can give back. But as you do more and more of what you love, you're going to see these things, recover from these things. Whatever you need to do to be more you is just going to start happening. And I'm a big believer in you don't have to like stop and clear and look for problems and look for things to get rid of. Just keep going on your journey and things will resolve themselves as you raise your vibration. And seeing this pattern again, seeing this thing of like, oh, am I still doing that? Am I still responding to don't be a workaholic? I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to keep going. The other thing that happens when you're in doing work that you love or doing anything that you love is that you're going to be really efficient at it, which is so funny. Like I I was thinking I would need 2 whole days each week to film my daily alignment show. I got it all done in about 4 hours, an entire week of shows, which includes so many of my segments, an Intimate Alien segment. Um, and it's like, oh, okay, that's great. Now I have like 4 more days to do all the other things I love. So, you know, you can probably imagine like, okay, I would like to be doing this in the future. I know the things I love and I could see my life ahead of me and what I would be doing and how filled it would be. But your mind sucks at that. Your mind can't create the picture for you that you want that will make sense that you can sort of cling on to. And I'm lucky enough to not be able to see pictures in my head, so I don't get tripped up by that very often. But it's more of like being present, like Carrie was saying, being in the moment and just going with it. What do I want to do right now? Try not to look too far ahead because it's never going to be that. And you might get scared because your mind is going to make a way different picture than it's actually going to be. Like for me, creating a daily show, that's going to be so much work. How am I going to do that? I'm already, sort of filled, not really, but with, stuff. No, it's not that at all. It's so much easier than I thought it was gonna be, and it was so much fun. It puts me in the vibration I wanna be in. There's so many perks for just me. I'm doing it for me, but I'm also able to share it with people. So I'm just saying, don't get worried about what life might look like. Don't think, "I don't have time to do what I love because I'm already doing the things I have to do." Don't make time a factor here because it's not going to be one. If you're truly doing what you love, time will work itself out because you actually are the one creating time.
Yes, I feel like if time is an issue, most people who are talking about I just don't have enough time, or like, it oftentimes is boundaries, right? It's that, like, it's something else entirely. So um time is the one thing, like, we're never running out of that. Like, so there is enough time. Um Rachel, I'm so glad that that show took you way less time than you thought it would, because as you were like describing it to me and like mapping it out in your head, I was like, yeah, that's not gonna work for her. Like 4 days a week, like I was like, let's see how this goes. But like that's not gonna work for her. Like she needs to be doing lots of different things. So I love that that it was like, yes, of course. It's you're super efficient when you're doing what you love. And I also have a story about that, and when you lean in that, about not being attached to what you think it needs to look like. And you guys, I'm guilty of this. So Rachel's brain actually doesn't make pictures, right? Like if you try and do like a visualization, Rachel's not going to like visualize. She can embody, but like she doesn't make pictures in her brain. I do. And my brain tries really hard to like foresee. But it makes me think about when my kids were little. And like I couldn't imagine what my 5-year-old was going to need when she was 5.5, right? Like I couldn't, or when she was 7, like I couldn't, my brain didn't, I mean, I guess I could have read books or like, but like it didn't have the experience to project into the future what this child was going to do. Where, then when I had an older child and friends would say things to me like, oh, we're going to do this. And I would be like, boy, that's stupid. They're not even thinking about that in 6 months, this kid's going to be completely different, right? It was like you can only see what you can draw on from experience, right? And yet what you're asking for is something you've probably never experienced before. So if we could just let go, like if we could just relax into the knowing that like, yes, I've asked and I will receive. And I don't have to, I couldn't possibly. No, I'm asking for something that I don't have like experience being there. You can allow in some of the most incredible things. And I've been talking about a lot about clients today, but I have this one client who just, I mean, she had very strong ideas about exactly what she wanted to do, like when we started working together and how she wanted it to go and her 5-step plan. And like, and my work with her wasn't necessarily about that, although it did sort of encompass that. But what she really got to was clarity, right? Clarity about what she wanted it to feel like. We got to the place of what I really want, right? So maybe it started with, well, I need to do this so that I can have that. And then it became like what I really want, which was about doing only what she loves. And she had an idea and a feeling of what it would be like. And I'm going to use vision loosely, but like kind of a vision of, wouldn't it be amazing if, but not like a structure yet. And then what she wanted, what she thought she was going to have to build, literally landed on her doorstep. And because she was a yes to what it would feel like, which not have to work, doing only what you love, living fully in your gifts, get like, and what she thought she was going to have to create just showed up, which is sort of the same thing that you're talking about, Rachel, with like what I thought was going to have to take me 4 days took me 4 hours. Like, so anyways, that's my talk about that.
Yeah. Well, one of the notes I have is what is it exactly? The fifth dimension has your back. The fifth
Yes.
dimension has your back. So we talk about the fifth dimension sometimes. You can feel the evolution we've already had on this planet. If you think about, it's really hard now because it's been so many years really since we've had a true third dimension. But if you think back to when you were, let's say, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, how dense it felt on this planet, how hurt you felt, how sad you got, how hard things felt, the limited mindset that we tended to have, even the best of us, the things we could imagine ourselves doing and being and having. We are miles above that, miles above that. Things are so much easier, so much faster, so much clearer, so much lighter. Someone pisses you off nowadays, you're over it in 20 minutes, maybe 2 days if it was really personal, right? Like, you can be, you know what I mean? We're so much higher now in vibration, and we get into the fifth dimension quite regularly. And the big difference between where we are, where we have been, and the fifth dimension is when you cross into the fifth dimension, there's only well-being. Only well-being. Can you imagine a life with only well-being? And it can happen on this planet. Esther was talking, or Abraham was talking about Esther's experience the other day, about how when she does experience things that we'd typically say are negative, I had a little bug on my screen, she's not seeing it as negative. She's like, well, this must be well-being. This must be well-being. And I really get that. A couple weeks ago, I was sick and I was like, Carrie, I'm sick. This is the greatest thing ever. Because I always know after I'm sick, really good things happen. So again, this is about loving the moment. Loving the moment is so 5D. So 5D. So if you can get yourself to cross over into that fifth dimension out of love for yourself, out of care for yourself, out of deserving, out of worthiness, out of, yes, this is where I live now. I love the moment. I'm not fighting against anything anymore because I know that doesn't do me any good. I love the moment. I love myself. I know I am loved. That is just giving yourself all the resources that you could possibly want. You know, I do a lot of readings with my intuitive art oracle deck, and a lot that's been coming up for me lately is unlimited resources, right? And think about that. That's what not having to work is. I have unlimited resources to do what I want, to create what I want, to live how I want, to make all the choices I want. 5D has your back, and you're there every single day. Can you be there more? Yes. Love the moment. Love yourself. Don't fight, right? That's where this is possible.
Thank you. That's really good to remember. It was very helpful, and I'm actually curious if you guys can let me know in the chat, but like when you said think about when we were in 3D. So I remember being very interested. Like Rachel used to talk about this stuff and I was like, what is she talking about? Like what, like there's reality and then there's whatever the hell Rachel is talking about.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying like it was probably around 2012. You were talking about like we're entering the shift, we're ascending, like whatever it was. I was like, okay. And I remember feeling hopeful about that because I felt so badly, right? Like I had lived so long.
Sorry, my cat is obsessed with eating my carpet. I'm just going to put him outside the room.
Okay. But I had lived so long with like constant anxiety and feelings of like guilt and shame and the heaviness. And I've sort of attributed a lot of that to like, well, I've done a lot of work and I've grown as a person. But like having you reflect it back, like, no, remember when everyone was feeling things more? I remember talk of like rainbow children and how I actually remember a lot of the talk back then was about how um, this next generation of children coming to the planet, like gender will be more fluid and sexuality will be, and it's like, whoa, that's like totally happened. But beyond that, or like sidebar to that, is I remember you being able to say, like, we are heading to a place where we don't feel this anymore. And it's a cool reflection. And you would say, I remember you saying, like, we're getting to the place, because I remember thinking you're nuts, where you can just think of like, I want an apple, and then like you will have an apple. And I was like, okay, good luck with that, Rachel. But now I'm already feeling and seeing, and as you were talking, I was thinking about AI and just like, holy crap. One, I feel like a different person than I did then, right? Like I feel it's interesting because we started the conversation saying like I feel denser and more embodied, but no, when I compare myself to like how I felt then, I felt heavy. I felt tired, exhausted, depleted, desperate. Like I felt a lot of those feelings. And I still feel those from time to time, but you're right. They were a constant. And now they are like oh, this is uncomfortable. Right? Now they're like a subtle nudge to to send me back to where I want to be and where I've meant to be. Anyways, it's helpful to recognize it hasn't just been about, well, maybe this is a fair question to ask. So when I was talking to Intimate Alien 2 weeks ago, I asked her, are you talking to about the entire planet or are you talking just to us? And she was like, I'm talking just to you. But to me, it feels like, so is this fair that it's just us who are watching and listening, or is this a planetary evolution?
So it's sort of both, because the third dimension's not here, but the fourth dimension still contains every thought ever thought. And so you can live in the memory of feeling bad as long as you want. And isn't that sort of how it feels? When we feel bad now, it's only because we're recalling a memory of it. I find this all the time. Like, let's say I was sort of triggered by something Eric did like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, why am I sad? What's going on? And then I realized, oh, this reminds me of something that happened to me back then. And then I was able to tell him about it. And it's like you are living somewhere else other than now, because now that doesn't exist. So that's what we can do. But you can live in the past all you want if you want to.
That is really helpful. Which you sent me the Abraham, and this is sort of what we're talking about when you were saying, love the now. You sent me the Abraham story about there's no future. And I've heard this, right? That was, I remember when Oprah had Eckhart Tolle on, and that was a lot of what Power of Now and A New Earth. That was a lot about what he talked about. But it did hit like, oh yeah. Right. I love thinking about the future. I love imagining the future. I love like that's kind of like my jam, like thinking about what will be and knowing that I'm on the path to it. And so it was interesting to like be reminded, no, there's no future, just now. What
Yeah.
you choose now, you get more.
And it's so empowering, because if we think about that, well, how do I want to feel in the future? I can feel that now. That's it. That's the work, right? And so I I love this, and I want to go because you touched on technology, which is a big thing. So we evolve, right? Energetic down. Every, everything that happens on the physical plane starts in an energetic level. There's no cause and effect here physically. We think there is because I can pick this glass up and move it, but it started as an intention in the energetic plane. So as we evolve our vibrations, there's more physically available to us that reflects that. Like ChatGPT. I was the holdout, and I'm like, oh wow, my friend, also a spiritual leader. I'm not. Oh my gosh, that's a weird thing to say. I don't feel like a spiritual leader, but she calls ChatGPT her coworker, right? Marketing stuff, ideas, all kinds of things. But we have 3D printing. We have the internet, which is wild if you think about it. It didn't exist when I was born. We have so many amazing ways for technology to support us. Think about how much easier it is now to accept money than it was for our parents. You had to hand a check to my mom when she was a kid, or dollar bills. I don't even carry dollar bills. I haven't had, unless I'm traveling or something. And I definitely haven't written a check in a long time. But now there's so many ways for you to be supported and to exchange funds, to barter, to exchange ideas, and to not have to work. So we've been talking about doing what you love, and like, it's so funny. I used to have sort of like a money block where I thought other people deserved to hold on to their money more than to pay it to me. And I would sort of go out of my way to like not get paid for things, to not charge for things. And so I never had a Patreon. I never had like a um anything like that, you know? But now I do, guys. I do because I'm doing only what I love. And I'm like, hey, if people want to support me, that will make them feel good because I do these things all the time. I give people super thanks. I buy them a coffee with their link because it feels good to support people. And so I thought, I'm going to do that too. So if you look beneath this video, there's a buy us a beverage link. So if you ever wanted to support our show, me and Carrie, what we're doing, or any of the videos that I have, it's only on this one so far. But you can do that. You can also just do it once. You could buy us a beverage, or you can sign up as a recurring member and like get your name in our videos and all that kind of stuff. So there's also Venmo now. There's the Cash App. There's Zelle. There's so many ways for people to say, oh, hey, thank you. Thank you for doing that. There's monetization on all these social platforms where you're sharing what you love, and it's not people paying you directly. It's advertisers. It's platforms paying you directly. There's so many ways to get paid for doing what you love. Even if you're a teacher and that's what you love doing and it doesn't feel like work to you, you do it regardless, you're going to get a paycheck, and that's getting paid for doing what you love, right? I do lots of more formal things like coaching and teaching, and I love those things and I would do them anyway. And so I'm getting paid to do what I love. So it's nice to start teasing apart this idea of it's not necessarily about just sitting on the beach, though there you can be supported if you want to sit on the beach. The fifth dimension does not care if it's traditional work or if it's nothing. There's only well-being in the fifth dimension. But most of us are here at least sometimes to engage with the world in some way, right? Although I watch people just filming their own hikes, like they're not really, they're filming it, they're putting it up. But I'm just saying, there's no limit. You have unlimited resources. And if you can find a way to love the moment and feel good and to do only what you love, you're going to find support there. And you're going to find that the fifth dimension has your back.
What is hitting me so much about what you're saying, and where I think I was once really tripped up, is in you talk about the timeline with the little loop in it. I used to try and force the like, okay, there's people making money on TikTok doing only what they love. What do I love? Let me make some videos for TikTok. Like, how do I monetize? How do I monetize? How do I monetize? Like, that's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the fifth dimension has your back. Like, it is tempting to be here and think, okay, I don't have to work. Great. How do I get paid to not work? Right? Like, how do I get paid to sit on the beach? And what I would say is if you are there, because I'm going to use my husband as an example. My husband is, I love him dearly, guys. He's not going to ever watch this. But if you run into him, maybe don't call him out on this. He is definitely in that living the memory of not really loving work, right? As a work as a have to. He gets a lot of stuff that from his job that makes him feel good, right? There's enough good in his work. But make no mistake, if we win the lottery tomorrow, he will be resigning. And if you ask him, because I've tried to have this conversation with him a lot of times, like, okay, so we win the lottery tomorrow. What do you do? And he can't really answer that more than like, I'd golf a lot. I do nothing. I'd sit around, right? He's like Rachel. There's no way the man would do nothing. Like he needs to have a lot of things going on. But if you're in that place that he is, it's not that, it's just like you're so caught up in the memory of not feeling good, right? That you just don't yet have access to what you would do. And so it's okay to think that you're going to sit on the beach forever and ever and ever. And I would sit on the beach for a lot longer than Rachel would, right? Like I might wind up just setting up shop on the beach and people could come and sit and chat with me and like that would be like I would love that. That could be my ideal life every day. I could sit on the beach and people could come and have meaningful conversations. But the important thing is to recognize I'm not just sitting on the beach having thoughts in my head. Right. I know I was put on this earth to have meaningful conversations, to like go deep and to do some other things too. But it makes me feel good to challenge other people's ideas. And so that's what's going to be right for me. Anyways, all I'm getting at is if you're thinking you don't have to work, and what that really means is I just would never do anything again, it's okay. Yes, you would, and you will. You're gonna find what you love. But you're exhausted, you're tired, you're depleted. You might have to lie on the beach for a while. And that's where like self-care as work maybe is revolutionary.
Yeah, and then you get to the place where you're not overdoing it, and so you don't have the burnout that would cause that. And there's nothing wrong with taking time off and, relaxing and rejuvenating but like I have a schedule now where pretty much every single week I can take up to like 3 whole days off if I want and, go hiking. I often go back to Connecticut and do stuff and hang out and go on vacations. And so once you're more established in your own boundaries and in feeling good and in visiting that fifth dimension, the world really does open up. That's why we're talking about like, don't make the timeline in your head of like, okay, now all my days are filled with work because it's going to take me so long to do what I want to do. That's really not the case. And to touch on what you said, I do have a note about that, which in all of this is really connect with yourself first so you don't end up performing, right? With the whole like, oh, people are making money on TikTok, so I got to go on TikTok and do the thing. No, you don't. And this is something that took me a while as well when I was thinking more about this a couple months ago. Like, I don't need to earn this by sharing my life, right? You're not earning anything here. You are receiving the unlimited resources that are available to you, right? There is no, like, what am I looking for here?
Well, that idea of earning, right?
Yeah.
That's a worthiness thing. Like I'm just receiving.
Yeah. Yeah. So check in with you. What do you really want to do? What ideas keep coming back to you? When you're really excited and happy and relaxed, what ideas come to you then? Because then you're in a really good high receiving mode. Just keep moving in that direction and you're going to get exactly where you want to be.
So I'm feeling like I feel the shift just in having this conversation. So I want to say thank you. It feels I feel like every week now I'm sitting here saying this, like, whoa, I feel different. And I always come thinking like I know what's up. So I just really am appreciating this conversation. I hope you guys are appreciating it too. Oh my gosh, I see that we are actually at time. Um, I really hope that you guys are allowing yourself to receive what is coming to you through this conversation. Like if there's any sort of like analyzing or figuring it out, just receive it. Just receive. You don't have to work.
Honestly, this would be a good time to take a nap if you can, or drink a lot of water, or take a walk or something, play with your dog or cat, because this is going to be an internal integration and not something your mind can really help you with, like Carrie's saying. So just let it in. Don't force it. It's made its way in there. Or you can listen to this again. This is something that I'm going to listen to because I've been talking, but I really want to hear it as well. And I want to hear everything Carrie has to say even deeper. So thank you for being here. If you want to support the channel, you can buy us a beverage at the link below, or you can join us in our coaching group because we talk about these very things and we watch our people experience this. So go to intuitiveart.com/membership to learn more, and maybe we'll see you in there.
I also want to say, I don't want to put limits on you people. You can buy us a beverage. You can send us $1 billion. Like we're donating. We will receive.
And thank you in advance.
Yes.
Right. And thanks for everybody who is here. I really love your conversation, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.